But actually, we're going to go back over to Germany, and we are going to talk about a story from a TEDx speaker. Her name is Miriam Heine from the University of Würzburg, and she claims that pedophilia is a natural sexual orientation, just like heterosexuality, and that no one chooses to be a pedophile, no one can cease being one. So she did this TED Talk, and TED Talks, in case you don't know what they are, basically experts in any given field on a topic give a nice speech to people, and they put them out on YouTube so everyone can listen. And she actually had a group of people listen to this. I think it was like a 15, 20-minute lecture, and I listened to part of it, and it's...
Jonas knows that he has to suppress his sexual drive for his entire life. And he also knows that there will never be a loving and fulfilling partnership that he can enter. Because Jonas is a pedophile. He's only attracted to female children between the ages of 6 and 12 years.
You have to watch it yourself and just try to understand what she's saying, because it's just insane.
I listened to it too. It's a disaster. TED Talks 5 years ago were really the gold standard of apolitical, really important conversations. Like everything else the Democrat media gets it, the progressive media gets its hand on. Now TED Talks are shockingly politically correct, one-sidedly political, and annoying. And this is a classic example. In fact, the first bumper of stories we're going to do today all deal with this. Things that we warned you were happening. What was going to happen if we allowed progressives to define gender, to define race, to define culture the way they wanted to? You were not going to be able to turn that spigot off. And here's a classic example. So we heard 10, 15 years ago when the whole gay marriage movement was ramping up, we heard that we had to allow gay marriage, homosexual marriage, because gender is, sexual preference is biological, right? No one's born that way. No one has a choice, I should say. It's chemical, it's a brain thing. Now, of course, now gay marriage is legitimized. You never hear them talk about that anymore, because if you talked about the idea that for something to be serious or to be taken serious and legitimate, it has to have a biological origin, that would not include transgenderism. So now, conveniently, when it comes to male or female, the science doesn't matter anymore. And taking it to the farthest extreme here. So you've got actual advocates now, and they've always been around. Remember NAMBLA in the 1980s and 90s, the National Man-Boy Love Association? Now you've got so-called academics making the argument. If you are a pedophile, if you're attracted to underage children, and her case study is a 19-year-old boy who's attracted to girls between the ages of 6.
It's like 6 and 12.
6 and 12.
Someone named Jonas. He's a victim. And
he's a victim.
We shouldn't, we can't engage, he can't engage in his sexual preferences, and we're supposed to feel so bad for him.
So you got girls between the ages of 6 and 12-year-old, basically prepubescent girls that this 19-year-old is attracted to. And the entire focus of this professor's talk was what a victim he was, because he's born a pedophile. And and the word pedophile is highly judgmental. We got to come up with an alternative word for it. This is exactly what they did with transgenderism. It's exactly what they did with homosexuality. And none of this has anything to do, Katie, with the right of an adult man to have sex with little children. What this is about, when you really go around about this, what this is the mainstreaming of sexual capacity for people of all ages. What they're doing here is not necessarily trying to argue it's okay for adult men to have sex with little kids. What they're getting around about here is the idea that little children as young as 5 and 6 years old, younger, should be able to have sex with whoever they want. If in their own childlike ways they don't resist the sex or don't vocalize some kind of a stop, then this should be allowed too. Why are we taking away from 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds their right to sexual control of their own bodies? That's why we're teaching 5 and 4 and 6-year-olds in preschool, kindergarten, first and second grade. We're introducing highly sexualized topics into their elementary school classes now. What we're really after here is autonomizing sex for little kids. And that should creep everybody out. It doesn't creep the left out, but this is predictable. When we refuse to draw the line anywhere with regards to these progressive initiatives, you're going to give them an inch, they're going to take miles and miles and miles.